The sound of the heartbeat sensors enters his ears. Kenjiro Honda opens his eyes. The sight of the white ceiling comes into his eyes. He inhales a deep breath. Immediately, he smells the scent of roses and different flowers. As he exhales, he lifts his arms up and looks directly at his hands, all bandaged up from the finger to the shoulder. He rests his arms and lifts himself up in the bed. As he sits up, he looks at his surroundings. All over the sides of the hospital bed are several bouquets of red roses, carnations, and buttercups. Looking all over, he is amazed but confused at the amount of flowers. Where did these come from? He looks closer at the flowers. On top of the bouquet is a note. "Thank you for saving us, Mr. Honda," it reads in Japanese. "Thank you so much, Dragonborn," another reads out. "You're a lifesaver," reads another one. On and on, there are notes on top of bouquets that are from different people. As he looks ahead, he spots a single red rose placed on his bed. A note is attached to it, and it reads, "Get well. It will be speaking very soon. E.H." Reading the initials E.H., Honda knows who it was from. He lets out a light sigh and rubs the top of his head. "I have a lot of explaining to do." "You don't know the half of it." Honda looks up from the rose. Standing near the right side of the bed is a man in an AMF uniform. Beside him is Chloe in her uniform rather than her combat uniform, with some bandages on her face. Do you remember me?" Dragonborn looks away from her and closes his eyes. "Chloe, your Japanese needs work." Chloe turns away blushing and chuckles to herself. "Yep, it's him all right." She turns back around and looks back at him. "Oh, sorry, let me introduce you to—" "I know who he is." Looking up and down the man, a name comes to his mind. Alexander Roosevelt, General of the U.S. AMF since 1991. It's been a long time, hasn't it, Rosie? "Yes, sir, it has. And I prefer you call me by my real name." Sure. Anyway, why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be in D.C.? "Well, I was in town, and I decided to check on you. You seem to be doing fine for yourself." "Yeah, except I just came off a battle with Koopa. My body is aching in agonizing pain. I think I almost pissed myself, and I was impaled." "Oh, sorry to hear that." Anyway, how bad is it?" "Well, in terms of damages, you can kiss your college fund goodbye, and in terms of casualties, it's around less than 100. Sir? That topic?" "Ah, right." The general pulls up a chair beside the bed and sits in it. "Let's get on topic. How are your memories coming along? Have most of them come back yet?" Honda turns away from the general. He closes his eyes and thinks real hard. Memories flashes in his mind for half a second. He opens his eyes and looks back at the general. "Not all of it seems. I'm still missing most of them." "Okay. Can you tell me your name, date of birth, and birthplace?" "Kenjiro Honda. I was born in Minato, Tokyo on January 8th, 1990. "All right, that's good. What about your parents? Do you remember them?" "At this point, who doesn't? Shinjiro and Kurumi Honda. And I believe my mother's maiden name was Tachibana." "Okay, that's good. Do you remember what happened to them?" Honda immediately shakes his head. Interesting. "Do you remember how you lost your memories?" Kenjiro shakes his head again. The general and Harrington look at each other with concern and suspicion. Then they look back at him. "Honda, we are about to tell you is something that you're going to have to listen to. I just spoke to your doctor and he said that some of your memories have returned. However, most of it hasn't yet. He was contemplating shock treatment, but that wouldn't work." "Why do you say that?" "Shock treatment only works if you're older than 50. And besides, there is a real reason why most of your memories haven't returned." "And what would that be?" "Kenjiro, what I'm about to tell you is something that I promised 10 years ago that I'm about to break. And it involves Gamera. Look, whatever it is, just tell me, alright? No bullshit in between." "Okay, here goes." She gets closer to the bed. She gets into Kenjiro's ear and whispers something in it. He listens to the Ice Queen detail by detail while General Roosevelt sits back in his chair. Watching closely, he sees that Honda is nodding his head as she tells him. Then, Dragonborn's face changes. It's full of shock. It's the expected reaction. Chloe steps back to her previous position. Honda looks down at his hands lying on his lap. His hair covers his eyes so that they don't see them. Hey, Gamera. Is it true? Yes. Chloe and Roosevelt collectively becomes alarmed. Another voice just came out of Honda's mouth. Hello, Gamera. It's been a while. So it has. Honda's head turns. His eyes opens, revealing his eyes to be green instead of red. He looks directly at Harrington. Harrington. We had a deal. I'm sorry, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. And you know what's going to happen, right? You have been warned of what's coming next. The eyes turns back from green to red once again. Kenjiro shakes his head and looks at both Harrington and Roosevelt. That was him, wasn't it? Both nod their head. I know this may be hard to grasp this, but not really. Actually, I'm kind of relieved. This baffles both of them. Wait, you're not freaked out about this? Not really. I may know how to summon Gamera again, but it's not bothering me all that much. Oh, that's good. However, with that said, he lifts the white blanket, revealing his bandaged legs. How many people know about this? The USAMF, the President, the Mario Brothers, and that's it. Dragonborn moves his legs to the side of the bed. Yada yada. That fight against Koopa was a real headache. He turned out to be more stronger than I thought. But in saying that, there's an even bigger problem still heading this way. And by problem, I mean Gojira. Fucking shenanigans. He rips the bandages from his legs, revealing that his injuries are healed, but scars are left in their places. Honda then unpeels the bands on his chest and arms. He balls all of it up and throws it in the trash can. Roosevelt reaches behind him, pulls out, and hands him a set of street clothes. A white t-shirt, navy blue jeans, work pants, a light black coat, and a pair of ankle-high socks and boxer underwear. Honda grabs the clothing and places them beside him. As he puts them on, he continues. I might convince Gamera to fight him, but it won't be easy. I don't know how strong our minds are, but I'll do my best. However, he puts on the pair of underwear and pants, then he puts on the shirt and light coat. Rosie, if I'm not able to detain or control Gamera even before Gojira's arrival, I want you to do me a favor. He puts on the socks and puts on the shoes. He stands up from the bed and looks at the general. I want you and the Anti-Megalosaurus force to attack him with full force. No delay or hesitation. This shocks the both of them. Wait, Kenji, I don't think that's a good idea. Do you have a better idea? Not knowing how to answer his question, she turns away. If Gamera won't fight Gojira, then we're going to have a serious problem. Roosevelt, can you do that? An interesting yet bizarre request to General Roosevelt and a concerning one to Chloe. She doesn't want to attack his own friend, but she also doesn't want to lose the best shot at defeating Godzilla. Roosevelt nods his head in agreement. I'll do it at your request, Dragonborn. Walking down the halls of Buckingham Palace is a single man. He is wearing the Royal Guard's uniform, a scarlet tunic with a dark blue collar, white shoulder strips, dark blue and white cuffs, and dark blue trousers with red stripes going down the leg seams. He stops, turns 90 degrees, and knocks on the door. Yes? A voice from the other side lets the guard in. He opens the door, removes his fur hat to his hip, and bows his head. Your Majesties. Sitting in her chair in her royal dress and reading the novel Shadows and Amazons is Queen Elizabeth II. Beside her is her husband, Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, and the former Prince of Greece and Denmark. The royal couple looks at the guard with his hat off and instantly know who he is. Edward, what is the matter? Something has come up. I have to leave the UK. My goodness, this will be the first time in 30 years that you ever left the country. It must be serious. Yes, sir, it is. In fact, the whole world will be in grave danger soon. Permission to leave my post? Well, since it's that serious, then permission granted. But Edward. Yes? Once you are done, you return back here immediately. And please be careful. Edward salutes the Queen and Prince. Edward turns around and walks out of the room, closing the door behind him. He places the hat on the table and walks away. He stares at his hands and ponders to himself. This will be the first time that I'll meet him. But first, I need to pay a little visit. The hard-fought Battle of Oakland was over. Repairing the city and the surrounding areas is going to take a lot of time to do. That includes recovering all of the dead bodies, both human and Cryptopian. However, there is one thing that almost overshadowed it. the return of Kenjiro Honda, the third Dragonborn. CNN is the first to report this breaking news while showing the footage of Honda battling Bowser. Another return that no one saw coming. A young man who was thought to be an ordinary mutant turned out to be the one who had been missing for 10 years. That man is Japanese-born American Kenjiro Honda, the third Dragonborn. He has returned and fought off against King Bowser and his army. Throughout the United States, just like Godzilla's return in Japan back on March 3rd, the news of Honda's return spreads like a wildfire. NBC News, Fox News, ABC News, and local news stations in all 50 states are picking up on the breaking news. The BBC in the United Kingdom also catches on to the news. That goes for other news outlets around the world, even in Honda's home country of Japan. Reactions to his return varies from skepticism to frightened worry to speculation on what he might do next. On the side of the Mukan, the reaction is the same, but with a few more skeptics. In Paris, Marie Garnier, the mirrored princess and at age 23, looks at the newspaper while sitting on a bench on the skyline overlooking the Eiffel Tower. Dragonborn, huh? It's about time. It was starting to get boring around here. What I would do to finally meet him. Sitting on a couch in his home with his wife in Berlin, Germany, Henry von Zimmermann, Mr. Ironblood, and at age 28, watches the news on television. Never thought I'd be able to hear that name again. This is going to be very interesting. Don't tell me you're planning on fighting him. Someday. Maybe. In the Russian Crusader training camp 2 miles outside of Moscow, Sergei Kurchenko, the Red Cossack and at age 86, hears about Dragonborn's return from his longtime colleague, Mikhail Yakov. Dragonborn? Comrade, you're not concerned? He beat Bowser in less than 30 minutes. I could have lasted longer. Finally, after over 50 years, I could finally settle some unfinished business. Looking on at the Sino-Mongolian border, Fang Li Yang, the human dragon and at age 20, is informed of the news by her student, Zhang Xiling. So I heard. Hard to believe it's been that long since he disappeared. Now that he's back, I helped the Empress of Ulan Mongolia into that bowl to attack China. Ulan Mongol, Red Mongolia, an empire that started off with the Bamboo Revolution of 1966 to the Asian Bamboo War from 1992 to 1996, to a modern and prosperous empire that stretches from the Russo-Mongolian border to all of Inner Mongolia, from the annexed Liaoning, Jilin, Heilongjiang provinces to the Xinjiang province and all of Kazakhstan. Altogether, the population, including all of the conquered and annexed territory, is 136,009,356. In its capital, Ulaanbaatar, it is a busy city as any other around the world. Thanks to the reconstruction to its buildings, the city is on par with the Chinese city Hong Kong or Shanghai. In the Capitol building, a man walks up to a massive pair of doors. He opens and enters the room. The room is full of antique and decorations. Most notably is the large picture of the man who pioneered the red bamboo, Sanji Ozawa. His granddaughter, Kaltsma, turns in her chair and looks at the man, Baluma, approaching her desk. What is it? Your Majesty? Kenjiro Honda has returned. The Empress's eyes widens a little. Then her face turns serious. Thank you. That is all. The man bows, turns, and exits the room. Kaltsma, all alone again, places her left hand on her right wrist. She feels the bite marks. A single memory of a single young man with a mouthful of blood, a single leg in his right hand, standing above a dying man, comes into her mind. Her face grows into anger. So, you finally showed your face again. She grabs her phone and calls on a number. A ring later, someone answers the call. It's Ozawa. The target has revealed himself. Eliminate him. The combined Japanese-American battle carrier fleet, Task Force G, are continuing to follow the Category 4 Colossus Godzilla as he makes his way toward the United States. On the battle carrier Missouri, Lady Mo, Admiral Patrick Welsh hangs up the phone and looks at the captain of the ship, Walter Dempsey. Captain, we got a problem. What is it? The good news is that King Bowser is no longer interested in Southern California. The bad news is the person who beat him, Kenjiro Honda. The captain's face becomes pale. You're kidding me. I'm afraid not. Looks like that theory from that expert turned out to be right. Fucking hell. What if Honda releases Gamera? What happens then? What's Washington going to think? 1 mile away on board Hoshi Shirogane, Miki Sagusa stands on the port midship. Her hands are placed on the guardrail, looking out forward beyond the ship. Godzilla's dorsal fin sways left and right at a slow pace. His tail lifts out of the water, then splashes back down. Sagusa's eyes shifts upwards. An American Huey hovers over the swimming kaiju. It is unarmed so that they don't give Godzilla the impression that he is being attacked from above. Further ahead, she spots an AF-18 Hornet returning from patrol and landing on the aft flight deck of the battle carrier Wisconsin, the Angry Whiskey. Sagusa takes in a deep breath. This is as far from Japan as she is going to get. She begins to wonder how her journey is going to end. Her train of thought is interrupted by the sound of Admiral Jotaro Shindo's voice. Mickey! She turns to see the man approaching her. Kenjiro is gaining his memories back. What? How? I don't know, but you might want to get in contact with him immediately. I'm not sure if he'll remember me, but I'll try my best. The Admiral nods his head and walks away from her. Sagusa removes her hands from the guardrail. She moves up to the port bow of the ship. She bows her head slightly and closes her eyes. The sounds around her begins to fade until there is nothing but dead silence. Kenji? Kenji? Can you hear me? No response. She tries again. Kenji? It's me. Do you remember me, Sensei? Throughout the private school, everyone is talking about the fight between Honda and Bowser, the former more so. In the hallways, each student gives their opinions to others, but one has yet to express her own opinion. Tapping on her desk with her index finger, Eleanor Harrington ponders on what had happened the previous night. But out of all of the things that happened, she can't get over one simple name. Honda. Her hand clenches. She grinds her teeth. Bolts spark out of her hair. Lighters of flame appear on her shoulders. This gets the attention of her class and teacher, scaring them. They fear that Harrington is about to erupt into rage. But she calms down, and the bolts and flames disappears. Everyone calms down. Then Eleanor plants her face on her desk. I don't know what to do. Harrington walks out of the door of the college. The day in college is over, and she is about to head home. She suddenly stops herself from jumping up into the air and looks to see her friend Madison Roberts greeting her. Hey, Maddie. Whoa, you don't look too happy. What's wrong? What do you think? The person I've been looking for has been alive this whole fucking time. Oh, well, sorry to hear that. Is there anything that I can do? No, this is way out of your league, even as a human. Girl, it's time for you to know me more. I'm more than just a regular human. I'm a regular human who gets her information fast. Hellraiser lifts her left eyebrow. Eleanor, carrying Madison on her back, lands in front of an apartment complex east of the Golden Gate Park. She lets her friend down on the concrete. Here we are, my humble abode. I'm not sure about this. Do you want to learn about Dragonborn or not? All right, let's go. Madison smiles and turns to walk on the steps of the entrance, with Eleanor following her. She reaches her hand out for the door. Then she stops just short. Eleanor notices it. She becomes confused. The two begins to feel something, a low vibration. It grows in intensity. They first thought it might be an earthquake. Then they hear tracks churning and a turbine engine. The two women looks down the street to see where it is coming from. What they and the neighbors spots is shocking. An M1A2 Abrams made battle tank in tree camouflage drives down the street. Then came another, then another, then another, then another. Altogether, there are 15 to 25 Abrams tanks traveling down the road. Following behind are Humvees with M2 Browning heavy machine guns. Not only that, but multiple M113 and M1-123 Striker Armed Personnel Carriers, APCs, stretching down the road, stops in the eastern part of the park. The rear hatch opens, and out pops 15 soldiers each, armed with M136 and M72 law rocket launchers. This confuses the people around them, including Eleanor and Madison. Looking closer at the soldiers' uniforms, they are much darker in color with a noticeable AMF logo on their upper sleeves. That's weird. Godzilla isn't supposed to be here for another few days. Why is the AMF here? I don't know, but come on, inside. Madison nods. She opens the door and enters the complex, with Eleanor following suit. Another APC stops near the park. Soldiers exit the vehicle. But they do not look native to America. They are Asian. The person who exited first looks back at his men. All right, let's find our murderer. For Genghis Khan and our Empress's father. Sitting in his bed upright, Bowser pays attention to what Kamek is telling him with piles of papers filled with lists of demands and reforms from the people and forces of the kingdom. Think about it. You're practically rolling in wealth. Why give it all to yourself at this point?
It's not about keeping all of the wealth or giving my gold. If I keep doing this, it'll become an issue and might start a coup.
But this is your army we're talking about. Plus, who in their right mind would even do something stupid like that?
Some of which who has an agenda that goes against our own.
That's a little bit of a stretch. Look, if we don't sign this, there will be a potential coup that you fear.
Fine. Sign it.
Since Bowser's arm and hand are broken, Kamek is the one that signs the paper with Bowser's signature. Kamek sets the paper aside and grabs another. Let's see. Next is the non-collectivization charter. It might help with all the famine that's going on in the farmlands.
Sign it. Those farmers are no good to me dead.
Kamek signs it, puts it to his left, and grabs another paper to his left. Next is adding new additions to the church.
Sign it.
Kamek signs without hesitation. Then he grabs another. Ooh, this one is for updating the city structure.
I guess it's time for that Neo-Kutropolis you keep nagging on about.
Say no more. Kamek enthusiastically signs the paper. He puts it to the side and grabs another. This is interesting. Inkling and Octoling independence.
I do not have a problem letting those people choose for themselves. But the question is, how will Inktropolis continue to follow us?
That's easy. You do what the United Kingdom is doing today. Bowser and Kamek look to where the voice is coming from. Edward, in a black three-piece suit, fedora, and trench coat, walks into the bedroom with his hands behind his back. You develop a commonwealth, where your colonies or subjects will still remain under your rule, but they are, at the same time, self-governing nations, like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, just to name a few.
You know what? That is a good idea. I mean, how did you get in here?
Kamek shouts for the guards. The guard storms into the room and aims their crossbows at the intruder. Edward doesn't even pay attention to them.
You're going to pay for trespassing in my kingdom with your life.
Edward doesn't pay attention and instead looks around the room. You know, the last time I was in this castle was back on April 25th, 1867, when I paid King Henry Bowser a little visit. Wait, you've been in this kingdom before? It was a time when humans were allowed to travel through the kingdom. I guess that's another reform that you should bring back. Funny enough, that is one of those reforms that I haven't gotten to yet. And even so, you have no right to...
Hold it. My grandfather told me of a single human who fought with them before. Wait, you can't be.
Edward tips his hat. Edward Andersson. A pleasure to meet you at last, King Robert. A name that Bowser and Kamek have heard of before. The original Dragonborn. Bowser roars at his guards, though it hurts his body, indicating to them that they should leave the room, and that they do with quick haste. Once they are gone, it's just the three beings.
Now then, to what do I owe the pleasure of meeting you, original Dovahkiin?
King Robert, I'm no longer Dragonborn. I may have all the powers of Dragonborn, but I'm just a regular crusader.
Still, what are you doing here?
I can see that Honda hasn't healed you after he defeated you. Why am I not surprised?
Try, how do you say, being in my shoes and see if you can escape with one bone intact.
Well, there's no need for that. And besides, King Ringon III, Gamera, and yourself have a duty to fulfill. What in Khan's name are you talking about? Answer me this. King Robert, has Henry ever told you about Atlantis and how he and the Utopians were involved?
Where are you getting at with this?
A desktop turns on. The wallpaper of Wembley Stadium from 1992 appears on the screen. The mouse cursor moves to a program as well as Internet Explorer. Multiple pop-ups appear on the screen. Looking over Madison's shoulder, Eleanor watches her friend immediately getting started. Catching a glimpse at the keyboard, she is amazed at the speed of her typing. Then she looks back at the screen. Can't believe I'm friends with a hacker. Better than a douchebag trolling the internet, I guess. Anyway, how far do you want to go with this? I can get in a lot of trouble for this. If you can cover up what you're doing, you're good. And if we don't find out anything about Honda, we're screwed. Plus, this is something I should have done back in the 90s. Talk about a grudge. All right then, let's do it. Madison clicks on the Mutant Organization website. She clicks on the list of mutants. Upon doing so, it changes to the list. She scrolls down the list of mutants from strongest to weakest. There's you and your sister, but I'm not seeing Honda's name in this. Perhaps the government didn't put him in the database yet. Can you set this site back to before Honda disappeared, which would be 1999? Sure, give me a sec. She types away on the program that begins hacking into the website's history. All I have to do is change the year and date to December 30th, 1999, and voila! The site changed from the layout of today to what it used to look like back in the late 90s. She scrolls down the list of the time very carefully. She finds his name and clicks on it. Wait, what? What? What is it? The moment I clicked on Honda's name, a message popped up. Eleanor leans over her shoulder and looks at the message. This profile is unavailable due to the restriction of the Anti-Megalosaurus Force. Wait, why would the AMF of all things lock his profile? I guess the rumors are true. Dragonborn does have something to do with Gamera. That would explain why the AMF is near the park. And if they're here, then that means... Hey, listen. Hellraiser takes a piece of paper, grabs a pen from the desk, and writes something down. Listen, here's my phone number. Call me if you find out about something. Maybe it might give me a chance. Wait, are you actually going to fight him? It wouldn't be the first time. And there is a chance that Honda might release Gamera. If that happens, then get out of here. It's about time that I get my revenge. See ya. Hellraiser places the paper on the desk. Then she hurries out of the bedroom, ignoring her friend's plea to stop. Hellraiser rushes down the stairs. She snaps her fingers and her combat gear replaces her street clothing. Exiting the apartment, she enters the park. Focused on one task at hand, she is not making the same mistake of letting him go just like 10 years ago.